Hello, Year 7s. This is Mr. Crothers. I hope you and your families are well. We're going to start doing some lessons based on Loom, this platform, for you to help push you a little bit further in geography. So today's lesson, we're going to talk about issues and the different types of geography and scale. So the issue that we're going to speak today about is palm oil. Now, palm oil is one of these things that polarizes people. Polarizing means that it can cause divide or have two sharply contrasting groups of opinions or beliefs. If you think about a magnet, for example, a magnet has poles. It means that they're opposite. The world has poles. They're on opposite ends. So with palm oil, you've got some people who are really, really, really huge fans of it. They believe that it's good. They believe that it is, if managed properly, they admit that it's not perfect, but if managed properly, it can bring a lot of economic and environmental benefits to the world. On the other hand, you have people who believe that palm oil is very much a negative. These people believe that palm oil is causing environmental destruction and is also bad for us in our health, but also for the people who are working in these plantations. Palm oil is a very sort of controversial issue, but what it is it's an oil and it's made from trees. An oil palm tree. They're originally from Africa, but Europeans and traders have moved it around the world in the 19th and 20th century. They naturally grow in tropical areas, but they are being introduced to more areas around the world. And what they do is they actually squeeze the kernels, the oil, out of these seeds and use it in loads and loads of different things. So geographers, we look at different issues. We use several different lenses. As you should know, there are three main types of geography, and this is the first sort of way that we look at an issue. The first one is physical geography. So we look at things as physical geography. They tend to be things that are natural. They're natural processes or elements of the world. Things like climate, mountains, soil, earthquakes, and so on. Human geography, on the other hand, is looking at human-made processes. So it's things that are man-made, populations, population growth, roads, trade, poverty, the economy, healthcare, anything like that. Life expectancy, there's loads. Environmental geography, though, is a weird one. Environmental geography is where human geography and physical geography connect. Environmental geography is how people change the natural world. So we look at pollution, deforestation, overfishing, acid rain. So when people start messing around with the world, when we start to alter our environment, that's really what environmental geography is. On the SAM learning task I've assigned you, there are 3 multiple choice questions. I would like you to pause this video now and go ahead and answer those multiple choice questions. Likewise, if you don't feel like pausing it, you can also come back or go to the SAM at the end of this activity as well. I'm going to give a short pause and then you can come back. Okay, hopefully you've done that task. If you haven't done that task, again, please go ahead and do that at the end. That's fine. One of the other lenses that geographers use is to use scale. So we look at the scale, the size of the area that a certain issue or a certain fact will impact. Now, we look at these different scales, and it is really tricky to determine scale. Sometimes I even have difficulty with time to time. We look at either a local or regional scale, a national or international or global scale. Now, regional is one of those things where if it's affecting several countries, but it's not affecting the entire world, sometimes that also sneaks in as a regional. So regional sometimes can be national, or is larger than national and smaller than international. But local generally is towns, cities, part of a community or something like that. So buses being cancelled in Raynham is not going to affect somebody living in Chile. That would be a local issue. Okay, the lockdown in the UK that we're just starting to ease our way out of is a national issue, and coronavirus is a global issue. Now, palm oil is said to be responsible for 8% of the world's deforestation between 1990 and 2008. This is because palm forests are cleared to make room for people to grow palms. On the next slide, there is going to be some different points. These are going to be impacts of palm oil. It's your job to do two things. Number one, decide what type of geography it is. Number two, decide what the scale is. Okay, this activity is also on your SAM Learning. It's something else that you're going to need to go and complete for me. So I will turn to the next slide. I will talk through each one. I'll give a pause, and then you can go off to your SAM. Likewise, you can do it at the end. So we've got loads of different impacts of palm oil, and this is where people start to think that it's controversial, is because we've got some things that are positive, we've got some things that are negatives, and the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. So the palm oil industry has helped lifted millions of people out of poverty in Indonesia and Malaysia. So you've got these poor people in Malaysia, Indonesia, they're getting jobs, working on palm plantations, and they're starting to earn money. They can support their family and send their children off to school. In the past 16 years, the quest for palm oil has led to the death of an estimated 100,000 orangutans. This is sad. The orangutans are endemic. This means that they only live in one area naturally. They're endemic to, I believe it's Sumatra, and they don't really live anywhere else. But because the palm oil, or palm trees anyways, that are used for palm oil, only grow in the same area, the same climates that orangutans can grow in, it puts humans into conflict with this. Palm oil plantations have created millions of well-paying jobs to enable tens of thousands of smallhold farmers to own their own land. So most of the world's palm oil is actually farmed by small family farmers, not giant corporations. I think it's 86% of palm oil is farmed from smallhold farmers. These are people who own their own land. They're small family farmers. And there's millions of these out there, so a lot of people rely on it. Large areas are cleared by burning, which increases the amount of CO2 emissions, creating an increase in greenhouse gases and global warming. Because we need to, the need for palm oil is growing and growing, more and more land is being cleared for palm oil. This means that we're starting to see a lot more land being burned. It's very quick because when you burn the forests, it's cheap and easy to do. But secondly, the ash and the soot puts a lot of nutrients back into the soil, which the palm trees can then use for their own purposes. Palm oil has a long shelf life, and it's a solid at room temperature, making it ideal for a variety of foods. And the second point, I'm going to chuck this one in together. It's in close to 50% of the packaged products we find in supermarkets, in everything from pizzas, donuts, chocolate, deodorant, shampoo, and lipstick. I would challenge you, Year 7, to go out into your pantries, into your cupboards, and look for something that does not have palm oil. Now, palm oil has loads of different names as well. Sometimes you'll see it as palm oil, palm kernel oil. You'll see it sometimes as vegetable oil as well. Not all vegetable oil is palm oil, but sometimes it sneaks in there. And I believe there's another 250 names for palm oil as well. Palm oil, though, is extremely productive. 1 hectare, which is an area an area of land about 100 meters by 100 meters, can produce 4.17 metric tons of palm oil a year. The same area of land would produce just over half a ton of sunflower oil and just over 1/3 of a ton in palm oil. So palm oil is like almost 6-8 times more expensive, or not expensive, more times more productive than palm oil, than sunflower oil. I'm sorry, Year 7, it's hard to do this in one take. Workers on these plantations, they're required to operate heavy machinery, and oftentimes they do it without safety. Sometimes they have respiratory damage from the levels of pollution caused by the forest fires in the summer. This results in contacts with some dangerous chemicals that are banned in the European Union. Those chemicals are also banned in the UK as well. So working on these plantations, although gives people lots of livelihoods, can be relatively dangerous. So again, on SAM Learning, there is an activity working with some of these facts and statistics. You need to decide what type of geography is and what scale of an impact this is as well. I'm going to give a pause, and you can come back after you've done that. Okay, the last thing I need us to do, year 7, is we're going to do a bit of an extended writing piece. Haha, you guys have had a break from school. You might not have had to do much writing. So we're going to get you back into the swing of things. Should we continue using palm oil? You've seen from the points on the previous slide that palm oil is controversial. What I want you to do is to write a paragraph explaining whether we should continue to use palm oil or not. Now, I've put some success criteria on here. These are the 3 points I need to see in order for you to achieve what I've asked you to do. Number 1, your answer needs to be balanced. You cannot stand on one side of the fence and say, palm oil is bad because this, and not acknowledge the good sides. Likewise, you can't say, palm oil is good because this. I need you to balance it. I need you to use information from today's lesson. Use facts, figures, and statistics that I've given. Likewise, you can also go and research your own. That would be amazing if you did that, year 7. Lastly, you need to explain whether this is a regional, national, or international issue in your paragraph. Please note, guys, when you go and write this, you may wish to type this somewhere else and then copy it into your answer. So if it was me, I would type it out into Word, I would copy my answer and then paste it into SAM Learning or something along those lines. Okay, I've also included a writing frame below here. So if you're stuck, you're not really sure where to start, have a look at the writing frame that I've got here. You need to fill in the areas that are in between the brackets. Now, what you guys know that emotional writers is something that winds me up when people, palm oil is bad because it kills orangutans, that sorts of things. That winds me up. We don't write write emotionally as geographers. We use facts and statistics to base our answers around. We need to make sure we use them. So for each explanation, when you're explaining why you think it's positive, or you're explaining why you think it's negative, you need to explain at least 2 facts from the lesson. When you explain each fact, make sure you use this means that, because that makes your argument better. So I believe that palm oil should be banned because it's resulted in the death of 100,000 orangutans. This means that, and then you need to tell me why this is significant. Why does the death of 100,000 orangutans matter? Why should it matter for somebody like you and me? Maybe it doesn't matter for somebody like you and me. Okay, so really make sure you explain those points well. That's what we need to do, folks. So that concludes our first Loom lesson for year 7 in geography. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. If there's any questions, please feel free to email me. Take care and stay safe, year 7.